Hi, everyone. Welcome to the podcast. I am Santino Espina, and this is episode 2 of Daytime Discourse. So, when I first had the idea of starting a podcast, my whole intention was for it to be an avenue where friends could share their honest perspectives on the various issues that may have come our way in the past year or so. I wanted this to be a space where you could be free to play with ideas in an effort to help make sense of this new world we live in. I'd like to believe we came close to that in this particular conversation. I'm very proud to introduce to you guys my friends Jaime Buñag, Jigs for short, and Nacho Mapa, two men I've grown up with in church and with whom I've had several deeply interesting conversations throughout the years. I hope you, the listeners, find this to be one of them. So without further ado, I bring you guys Jigs Buñag and Nacho Mapa. What you guys been doing quarantine? What's been keeping you guys productive, Nacho? Like do you have any creative outlet or any new skill that you've been doing or got into?
Well, I learned Spanish.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Did a Spanish class. That's is that the thing? Yeah, I think it would be that. That would be the class-based thing. The other new thing that I mean, it's not really. I wouldn't call it a creative outlet, but
Okay.
it's like a new tool that I got into. I was actually gonna bring this up with you, Jigs. I was gonna ask if you're doing it because I heard from Sal yesterday that you took a productivity course of
Yeah, yeah.
Ali Abdal. I was
Yeah, dude.
like she just said he was med. I was like, oh, is this Ali Abdal? Like,
Yeah.
so he popped up on my feed something about his productivity apps, best productivity apps. He mentioned several. Rome Research, which is good for like brainstorming.
Mm-hmm.
Some other
Mm-hmm.
ones for getting your thoughts down. But the one that really stood out to me was Notion. That's the
Yeah,
one we were talking
yeah.
about yesterday, Tino. So
The app,
it's
yeah.
yeah. I wouldn't say Notion is a creativity outlet per se, like a podcast or a YouTube video kind of thing. But for me, what I like about it is it's like it's how do you say it's like Lego or like Minecraft in an app. Like you basically build your own productivity system, whatever works for you. Because remember I was talking about yesterday in the growth meeting that you download your to-do list apps and
Mm-hmm.
they come this fixed form. You put in your to-dos this way, you put in your events this way. Some are more convenient to put it in your calendar. There are different apps that they resonate with you for different reasons. But the cool thing about Notion is like you build the system yourself, like whatever works for you. That's kind of what makes it daunting because it's like a blank
Yes, it's
slate.
definitely daunting. Yeah.
It's like you start with it, what am I gonna put
Yeah.
on this? But it's pretty interesting. There's a lot that you can. I've been spending a lot of time on that, on learning, figuring it out, seeing
Yeah.
other people's use cases, seeing how can I use this for myself. Yeah, but it's still something I'm trying to make it more of a habit, pa, to get things in there.
Yeah.
Uh, just for everyone's contact or just for everyone's sake, like Jigs and Nacho and I, we
Just started with that. It's like you shot the question. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I'll
That's fine.
answer
Yeah, that's fine.
that.
This is the conversation in the middle of it. Let's go.
a lot
As Tino said.
so we met in church. We were part of this church group, a Catholic church group, and we're also part of, what do you say, like the, the core group of that church group. It's like a lot of the youth leaders who help organize a lot of the events for that group. And so the names that we're gonna bring up and the things that like the meetings that we we just that Nacho brought up like that. It was related to church. Like Jav is like our mutual friend in church as well. Sel, Jig's girlfriend, also our friend in church. Um,
Our whole
just for
lives
everyone's
basically revolve
just for
around the
everyone,
church
yeah.
group.
It's just this little, yeah, it's a little circle that we have. And yeah, we grew a lot. I think I'd like we grew a lot together. It's a it's like a we it's not work, but like you serve together. Just a, it's a you be- you become friends at the end of it. And so that's why I'm inviting these guys, because I know I know I've heard a lot of it, like very thoughtful insights from them. And I'm hoping that a lot of what you guys say, like Nacho bringing up a lot of these productivity. Ali Abdal pala isn't Pinoy, dude. Like from what
What? How did
You thought
you
it was
thought he was
Pinoy?
Pinoy?
from,
You
Have
thought
you heard him talk now?
from, from your from your conversation
Oh,
yesterday, dude,
okay,
I thought
okay,
he was
okay.
Pinoy.
Okay.
Anyway, I thought it was like some
you
Ateneo
you
med
are
student or
somewhere,
something. I don't know. Uh, um,
Oh man.
he's I didn't get into his
He's
videos.
British. He's
he's
British.
like
He's
Yeah.
British
British,
pala.
Yeah.
Okay. So yun,
British
it's
of
just
Indian descent.
yeah, of Indian descent. It's yeah, I'm hoping a lot of what we talk about is a little more I don't know, it's like a little more spiritually enriching. I feel like our discussions and the three of us already had a discussion in private lang with a bunch of people our age and younger. And it felt like we had to do it again. It felt like even this little group that we like this the three of us, it felt like we had to do a little thing. And
Yeah.
yeah, we talked about it a lot and we joke about it in passing. And it's finally here. It's just a little thing that we have that I was able to start, and I'm hoping I have a feeling that this is gonna be just you guys are gonna be regulars here. I feel like it's gonna
I don't mind.
be
I don't mind, man. I don't mind.
recurring. Yeah, so
I
just
guess I
letting you
gotta
know,
get me
man.
some lights like Jigs, no?
You got,
My Twitch streaming setup.
I gotta get some J's too, man.
No, no.
I feel like
It's just
my
just
shoe setup here is pales in comparison.
I just had to decorate my room with one of my passions, man.
One of the many.
One of the
Renovating, I should have included that in the
Dude,
sneaker
put
wall.
posters na. You gotta put posters on your plain wall.
But actually, now that you mentioned stuff like this, like you asked a question about like how like what's the new thing or like a hobby or
Mm-mm.
something we took up.
Yeah.
One of the biggest things that now that you mentioned it, one of the biggest things that the biggest undertakings that I've
Mm-mm.
gone through during this quarantine was I fixed up my room. Not major like a renovation or like a
Right.
repainting or whatever, but um I based on like I mean again talking about YouTubers and people we follow or people who have these productivity stuff. I follow this guy on YouTube. His name is Matthew Encina. He's a Filipino American creative.
Finally Filipino. Yeah.
Yeah, Filipino American creative in LA. And he's actually the first person that talked about Notion for me because he talked a lot about productivity as a creative. So it's interesting. Ali Abdal is in medicine and has been in
Mm-mm.
business, so it's a bit different. I learned many things from the two of them, but one of the things that Matthew and Tina did was fix up his room, fix up his office workspace, and he had a video about auditing your workflow. And when I sort of fixed my room, I was like, okay, my previous setup was like I had two desks, two different sized desks that were like beside each other because I used to draft when I was in college. Dude, like I had a drafting table and a computer table. It was like disjointed. I just felt like my flow was like all over the place and my room was a mess. So I told myself, okay, I'm gonna get rid of those two desks, invest in a nice designed table, fix up my setup, screen, whatever, everything. And um but I felt like to make all of that stuff, I mean, it looks nice. I mean, I appreciate it, but like to make all that stuff worth it, I felt like I had to also make myself productive. I mean, to make the most of the investment in the space, right? So
Mm-mm.
um Matthew and Tina's video was about auditing your workflow. So like everything that everything you do in a day, especially now that we're working at home. I've been working at home for the past how many months. I felt like this is most important. Like everything you do in a day, you kind of write down the things you need for those things. So whether it's like working on my laptop or recording my dad's podcast, which you can check out by the way, dito on Spotify. That's gonna plug. No,
Is it
everything.
Tito Buñag
No,
or just
Lito on,
Lito?
Lito on. Yeah, his name's
Lito,
Lito. Yeah,
sorry man.
check out Lito on other podcast all the podcast
Great, great.
platforms. Now, so like everything I did throughout the day, I wrote down like what I had to do and the stuff I need, and where in my room I do it. So like work on my laptop by my desk. How often do I pick up my camera or how often do I shoot videos? Or I mean, obviously now these
You
days
took
not
note
so
of all of
much.
those things.
Yeah, and so I had to like think about where I put it in my room. So right now beside my table I have like these plastic shelves with all of the stuff I use almost every day. I have a pegboard here which I copied from Matthew and Cena that has like all the cables and headphones, whatever I use, and tape and staplers and whatnot. So it's like I felt like productivity was a big theme in in quarantine for me, all the way from fixing my room to how I work now. Um, it gave a sense of control also with how I do work. I felt like a lot of things aren't in our control at the moment, like
Tough.
being in quarantine and all that stuff, and um having being productive and having things in place and working the way I want it to, or the way it feels best for me or most productive for me, um makes gives me a sense of control, or gave me a sense of control. So yeah, so
Even
far that's
somewhat,
been,
right? Because it
yeah,
just
yeah,
feels like
yeah, somehow.
everything's it's slipping from our grip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everything, like our work deals a lot with suppliers and clients and all
Mm.
that stuff. So like even then it's like things aren't in your control because this supplier will take longer to do this, or the city hall won't approve something, or
All
yeah, I
those
mean, because
things,
yeah, it's like
little
those things are,
problems.
yeah, those things are all like hard to control because like as much as you want it to happen, people aren't working every day. There's like people don't have, yeah, I mean, so it's
That's
like
true, man.
there's so
The
many
hours
things
are
that just
different.
aren't working. Yeah, man, it's
Yeah.
crazy. So it's yeah, it
It's like a directed mindfulness. It feels like
yes,
just the way
yeah,
that you detail it. And I did a similar thing. I reconfigured my room.
oh
I made
nice,
it. I
nice.
tried to make it a more or a space more conducive to working. It didn't used to be like this. In fact, I couldn't even use this table that the computer is on. It just felt like it was in my room just to put stuff on. It just
Yeah.
felt pretty useless. And then come quarantine, it's like, okay, I just feel like I need to make a space where I can one like on the basic would be just to have like a good place to have video calls, which is pretty much necessary nowadays. But also it made me rethink my space. It made me use the space better, and little things like that make you a little more productive. No, and um, I was thinking about the fact. I mean, like the thing that Nacho brought up, naman, like learning Spanish. It's just that's like a different. It's like learning a language is like learning a different world almost. You know.
Yeah, yeah, true.
So my question like would be like, do you have any? And I wondered. I've always wondered. It's always been interesting for me. Parang what it takes to learn a new language. Like I wonder if like some people have it easier. So not sure. Do you have like a or do you have like I'm just wondering if like you have Spanish um ancestors. You because I feel like people who are at least in blood that of that region might be more predisposed to learning a certain way of speaking easier. Or is that not the case for you?
Well, I don't think it's anything to do with blood. I mean, I think I do have maybe a bit of that. I mean, like
Mm-mm.
Mapa, Naval, like
Yes.
names in my family, like they come from Spanish words, but I wouldn't say it's like a big percentage Spanish. I don't think it's probably traceable like back generations, but I don't know. But for me, the thing that actually made it easier for me was having taken up Latin in Southedge.
Oh,
Mm,
that's
Like I never
interesting.
thought I'd say that. I mean, taking a
Wow.
dead language in high school, everyone's like, "Why are we doing this?" But it's interesting. It's structured different from English. Actually, if you hear people from other countries trying to learn English, they find it more challenging. Actually, for us, it's natural because we do it traditionally. But
Yeah,
other
yeah.
people, let's say, for example,
because we're
plural
colonized,
normally,
right? Yeah.
yeah, normally plural fish becomes fishes, horse becomes horses.
Yeah.
But then you have goose, geese. Like
Yes.
Yeah. It's a
it's
messy,
different
it's a
from
messy language.
yeah, it's
English is like
messy.
really messy. Yeah.
Yeah, the cool thing about these languages that are based off Latin, so Spanish, Italian, they have this thing called conjugation and declension. So you
What does
basically
that
for the
mean?
verb you just change something in the ending to make it this, and it's the same for all of those verbs already. So
So it's super organized also. This is
yeah, it's pretty
systemic.
organized. Yeah, yeah.
I
So
Solid.
I think that's what I think more than blood. It's that which
I've never experienced because I've never. I mean, it's always something that it's always like, oh wow, it'd be cool to learn a new language or whatever. But that's something I honestly don't have any experience with. And I felt like I feel like what Tino says. It's like it's a totally it's like kind of inverting what you know about something, which is language, because it's like
yeah.
it's like a different culture, different everything that's attached to it. So as you mentioned, like
It's a different way of thinking, I feel like.
yeah. Parang the mind process of it is kind of off tangent compared to what you're used to dealing with, like learning
Something
other
really
things.
cool related to that. Have you guys seen the film Arrival? You
No,
haven't
no,
seen
I
it.
haven't.
It's
No,
this
no.
sci-fi thing where basically aliens come and they're trying to teach humans a
Okay.
language, and it
Oh,
changes
okay, I think I've heard of this.
changes the
Yeah,
way you think. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
interesting.
By whom?
I don't know who directed it, but
Yeah.
it's based off a short story. I
Oh,
can't remember by whom. Let me see if I can find it. But yeah, you
interesting.
guys.
No, yeah, go.
Foreign languages make you understand things differently.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I've,
I,
I've I should really. I mean, that's something I've been wanting to try or figure out. Like the Tina's question. Parang my mom's side of the family is pretty Spanish.
yeah,
Um, that's a simplified way to describe it. But like my
yeah.
grandfather and her side was pure Spanish and everything.
Okay.
So it's like yeah. So maybe it's something I
The
should look into.
hence the facial hair.
Hence the facial hair, I guess.
um, I guess the reason I even brought that up was because I'm a strong believer that you can't run away from your DNA. I feel like it's probably some people are more predisposed. I have a friend. She took up European studies in her for her university degree, and she uh, she took up Spanish as one of her. Well, I don't know, one of her tracks, I
FLC.
guess. Yeah,
Yeah, foreign language course.
yeah, or if not foreign language, even for like I don't know if the
Minor.
course had a track or
Yeah.
something like that. It was more intensive, um, and the thing was, she was fluent in it, and I knew, and you know that she looks little. She's Pinay. She's born here, raised here, but she looks a little mestiza. And in fact, she has what do you call that? If I'm not hyperchromia. Like one of her eyes
Oh,
is
that's
that
so cool.
is that the right
Yeah,
term?
I forgot the term, but yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Something, yeah.
Um.
That's really cool. Like two different colors for the eyes.
Yeah. So like
Oh,
That's
really?
awesome.
I've never
Yeah,
heard of
dude.
that.
she has
Yeah.
a like a light. She has brown eyes, like maybe like normal Pinoy eyes on her right side. On her left eye, it's gray. Um,
Wow, that's so cool.
in fact, when she was born, and I don't know if she'll hear this, but this is weird
Interesting.
to talk about it. But
Crop it out na
um,
lang. Right.
No, you didn't say the name in one, so it's
I
fine.
didn't say I haven't said the name.
Yeah.
And in fact, when she was born, apparently the doctors thought she had cataract in her left eye because it was so gray.
Ah.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
interesting.
Um.
It's a very rare. It's a very rare thing, right? I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um. And and it was so nice because she showed me like she flashed a light on it, and it just looks different. Obviously, to I guess I can generalize. Pinoys don't have gray eyes. Uh,
I have
and
my in-laws, my brother-in-law and his kids are they have gray lighter
light
eyes. Yeah.
hazel eyes.
No,
I think
they
yeah,
have like light gray.
light gray.
Yeah, but it's not
And
heterochromic or whatever. It's
what do you? Well, yeah,
I think
heterochromia.
heterochromia. Yeah, but
Heterochromia. My
they're
bad.
the
My bad.
same. But yeah.
Yeah. So and parang there's this. I feel like in your DNA, there's like a program there that can you can tap into somewhat. It just feels like it's the power of the mind, I guess, that I feel like yeah, it's part of. And we don't know that we have it
I
a
think
lot of the
that's true
time.
for everyone. Like you're predisposed to certain things because of
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 things that were passed on to you
Yeah.
I mean,
But it also doesn't mean you can't learn, like pick up
yeah.
new
from
skills.
scratch, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're
Yeah.
pure Pinoy, yeah.
I mean, maybe you can change your eye color, but
Yeah.
contact
Yeah.
lens, yeah.
But that's actually an interesting thing. It's like I feel like the things that you can't change are the more surface level physical things. But the
Yeah.
deeper you go into the person and the deeper you get into like personality and intent and everything, it's cool how that's left somewhat free for you to
Build yourself.
yeah. So in a weird way, like yeah, you're bound physically by certain things, but it doesn't really keep your mind or your personality like hostage for anything. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's interesting.
Yeah. But I think connected to what Tino said, like you start with something. You have that
Yeah,
DNA, that
definitely. Yeah,
code in
yeah.
you that
I feel like it's powerful,
start.
man. I feel
Yeah.
like what hand you were dealt is more powerful than we realize sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah, true.
it's just part of this mysterious world that we're in, like our humans. I don't know, the human code. I don't know. I never. It just boggles my mind sometimes.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah,
Speaking of, have you heard of Strengths Finder by Gallup?
Gallo. No,
Gallup.
no,
It,
Gallop.
it's
No,
No,
I
no,
haven't.
no.
yeah, it's like this test that you can take. It was developed like a few decades back. It's
Mm-mm.
something my dad let my brother and me take. Basically, you take a test and then they have several strength, like a list of strengths, and you take a kind of like a personality test,
Yeah.
but you're taking it for your strengths, and then they give you your five strengths, and then the interesting about it is they like their philosophy is you you play to your strengths. So you play to that card you're dealt. You don't,
Mm-mm.
because sometimes the mindset can be, oh, you don't know math, like just work harder, study harder at it. But sometimes you're more gifted with other things. You're more gifted with art. You're more gifted with creativity than the numbers. I don't know.
It's just the
It's
case. I
yeah.
feel like I think we know people like that. I mean, if I don't know if you guys consider yourselves. And I think you guys are pretty creative in your own way. But like we know that there's like this hierarchy of creativity, man. Like you know that the person just has this penchant for beauty. Like they know how to make something beautiful. I feel like you guys have those inclinations also, but in different ways. But like they make visual designs. You just know they have it. It's like sometimes a person who can learn that won't be any or nearly as good as someone who just can draw, like who can really draw. And that's so
Yeah.
unique, and you know it from when you're a kid. So it's
Yeah.
not really like everyone has it. It's I feel like there's a hierarchy of some sort. Um and yun, it's
It's different for every each person has a different like hierarchy of skills
Yeah.
or
yeah,
talents
like
and abilities.
like
Yeah.
the person I think about a lot is in that regard is Messi. Like like he's just this like diminutive guy. He's
Yeah,
five
yeah.
seven,
Tiny. Yeah.
tiny, and he doesn't look like an athlete. It's
Yeah.
but like it just feels like God gave him make it a little metaphysical.
he
God
looks
gave
he looks
him
he looks I mean, for those of you who don't know Messi, I know this, he doesn't look like him physically, his face, but he looks as average as like Paul Rudd. Like he's kind of
he's
okay looking.
Paul Rudd looks like a working guy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like I mean, Paul Rudd, they're both good looking guys. I'm not saying they aren't good looking.
yeah.
They don't look alike. But I mean,
No,
if like Paul Rudd was a football player, he'd look like Messi. Yeah, I mean, like very like he doesn't look like a physical
that's right.
specimen.
That's
Yeah,
right.
I mean, like
But then you get Messi, who's like a six-time Ballon d'Or winner, and it's like
yeah,
it's
yeah,
crazy. Like not a lot of 5'7" guys, or Pacquiao for one. Like
yeah, yeah,
it just it's like they were given like this gift. It's and like all men created equal. It's like oh wow. And not to go into like superlatives, but like it just feels like I could have all the physical advantages over Messi, and it just you don't have that gift. You just don't have that
yeah, yeah,
touch. You don't have that, I don't know, that accuracy. It
Yeah.
just it's just a feel that they have that
yeah.
it's just unbelievable. If you watch, I'm a Ronaldo fan, but I can really appreciate Messi. I can really appreciate
The,
just
the
watching
stuff he
him.
does is just
Out of
super
this
funny.
world.
It's like, man, how did he?
How
I
does
mean,
he
when Ronaldo
see?
does stuff, you're like, that looked cool.
Yeah.
But when Messi does, it's like,
How did that happen? Yeah,
How
what?
Ronaldo's like peak human. Like
yeah,
the hardest you could ever work and the best you could ever be physically. But then Messi is like of another planet, man, of another race. Like
Yeah.
he's just
yeah,
I've never seen anyone play like that. And there are there isn't a shortage of 5'7", 180-pound guys, or if not less. There's so many guys like that who never ever even even football players who never even approach that level of ability.
I like how it's always easy for it's like sport is a low hanging fruit for people to liken things to, because like I feel like
It
Yeah, yeah,
is.
sport is like human trial and triumph made tangible. Like
It's
it's
visible.
so obvious.
It's
Yeah, it's
so
so obvious there.
visual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like I feel like we're gonna be just a disclaimer. I feel like we're gonna be referencing sports a lot, and like regardless of what we talk about, just because
We
I feel
could.
like it
We are
comes
we
out.
are big
Yeah.
sports heads.
Also,
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, for real. I mean, yeah, Messi, and I mean they're a handful of people who
Yeah,
like, I mean, they're great athletes, but they're people who are just like born, or not just athletes,
Yeah.
but they're great people in any industry, any craft, any whatever. But you know that they're people who are just born into that, and the stars align and they find
it's
themselves
and we're
on the
blessed,
right path. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and we're blessed. Jordan, I was thinking about this when just and like the current state of the NBA, like, or no, not current state, but just the format of the NBA and sports in general, spectator sports, is like if you have LeBron who's like dominating, let's say, and I'm not gonna say like I'm a LeBron fan or whatever. I might get canceled, but I don't know. But seeing someone dominate in their field, like sports, is you because you see it there. They're physically more dominant. They read stuff better. It would be and the difference between like that and maybe like someone who enters like this multinational company and then works their way up and dominates the field and dominates the industry. You never see that on TV. It's not fun to see. It just happens.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
You just hear about them. They get a new
yeah.
position or
Yeah.
whatever. But
Unless
the things
unless
that go
unless you're
into
like
it, yeah.
Unless you're Elon Musk,
Elon
who
Musk.
like calls for the attention.
Elon Musk is different, bro.
No,
Speaking of
but
another
I
South
think he's one
African,
of I think he's one of those people also that sort of were born to be who they are, and he's just. I mean, I
I
don't.
think in that way, those tech entrepreneurs are also
another guy,
gifted and
yeah.
born with
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
It's
definitely.
insane. Just the level of productivity that he's a different race also, man.
Yeah, I don't agree with every single thing he does, especially
Yeah.
recently, I guess. But like
It's
his
wild, no?
opinions, but crazy. But it's like,
The name he gave his baby.
and yeah,
What
what the
did he
heck is
what
that,
what did he
man?
name him? Name him
I
or
don't think
her?
no, you know what? You know what? We can. I don't think Nacho and I, even if we've seen it on paper, I don't think we can even like say it. He said it in Joe Rogan's podcast. He taught
Yeah,
him how to say it, but like
South African?
no, it's like
dude, it's
digits
like
and symbols.
A Greek
It's like a
symbol,
robot. Yeah.
and
It's like he named his kid after Stormtrooper. It's like, I mean, like it's like something like that. Like
But he can read it. Like,
Aeon.
what language is it?
Yeah, it's like Ash something. Like it says like, no, it's not a language. It's like
My
there's
gosh,
like a
we're just talking
Latin.
about a baby's name.
There's a Latin symbol. There's numbers, a dash. It's like weird. Like I don't
there's like
understand. Like
a math
yeah.
symbol.
There's
There's
like
an equation,
yeah.
pa.
No, yeah, no, pretty much, man, pretty much. Yeah, I can't. It's like Ash, blah blah blah, something. It's like a
It's just
weird
their
thing.
mind
Yeah,
just works differently, and
yeah, yeah.
and I don't know. There could it's weird. He's such an eccentric guy. I saw his first podcast in Joe Rogan. It's just this guy. Is
He
just
talks different, man.
different,
Yeah,
man.
dude. This he's
Yeah.
like not. I mean, it
He's
doesn't
not
sound like
afraid
a.
of it too.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like he knows the value in how he speaks. So like
yeah, yeah.
in
True.
what he says, I mean.
Yeah,
But so he doesn't care about how he speaks anymore. Diba?
yeah, yeah.
For me, the interesting thing with him though is his presentation. He doesn't seem like the very first time I watched one of his stuff. I think it was
Mm.
either a Tesla one or one of those one where he presented. I think his solar roof tiles. He stammers a lot.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
he's not like a Steve Jobs that like
Very polished.
it feels
Galing.
so polished
Yeah,
and
Yeah,
galing si
personal.
Steve Jobs.
Like he does a lot like yeah
Yeah.
and he
but
stutters. He stutters.
yeah
Yeah,
but I don't know, man. He's kind
People
of a genius. He's really
he's a genius and people follow him. So
yeah.
there's got to be something really there. I was thinking and maybe he was blessed with because a lot of successful people like that are like hyper intellect. They have hyper intelligent, then they're hyper productive, they're
Yeah.
hyper energetic, and for some reason they're also hyper healthy. They manage to like not get sick. Um, they just straight up dominate. They can work like hundreds of hours, or if not upwards of hundreds of hours a week, which is insane. Uh, but I was thinking, like, how many people are out there who have that level of intelligence but don't have the other things? They're not hyper energetic. They don't have the health. Like, how much of our human population, like, how much of the people in the world, like, are internally capable but externally um lacking? It just they can't act it out. It just not embodied.
yeah. I think that many factors affect that. I mean, we hear this a lot, like about um. I mean, it's an opportunity thing where it's like is the environment that that they are in right now conducive to their skill set or what they can do?
Yeah.
Are enough eyes on them to get them to a place where they can, yeah, I mean, like that they can be effective or deliver. So it's like, I mean, all the factors that affect it, with all those factors that could possibly affect that, I'm sure there's a big chunk of population, overpopulation, that just doesn't get the opportunity to be productive or to dominate, as you say,
Be out there. Yeah.
in a field of it that they're passionate in. I
Sometimes
mean,
it's
yeah,
bad luck too.
yeah,
Uh,
no, definitely. I mean, if you're just not, I mean, but, but I guess it's sort of that skirts already like a philosophical thing where it's like because people can make the most of what they have. I mean, they can be
yeah.
successful in their own right, but like,
Take as much
yeah,
responsibility
yeah,
as
but like,
possible,
yeah,
which
so
is
it's
a
like,
good thing. Yeah.
so parang it's not all to minimize that. It's just not every. I mean, any of the three of us could have a skill set that could bring us to the level of an Elon Musk or a Steve Jobs or what's his name, Amazon guy, Jeff Bezos,
Jeff
or
Jeff
Bezos.
Bezos. Yeah.
yeah. But it's like, but like, and I'm not trying to do their own horn. I mean, we have everybody has like a skill set. It's not just the three,
Mm,
three of us. But like,
yeah.
you never know. Like, what if like, you're really good at drawing or you're really good at painting, and you
I'm
just,
not. I'm not at
I
all.
mean, I mean, let's just say, what if you're just not painting the right thing, and then like, yeah,
Yeah. What
I
if
mean,
you were
there's
Right. Right.
conditioned when you were in
yeah.
preschool to just get
No, no, stuff like that is no, that stuff like that is real.
It's
Like, I mean,
possible. It's
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
possible.
we're
I'd
mad.
like to say for myself. I mean, you guys are my
Yeah,
seniors, but
yeah.
I'd like to
I'm
include you.
pretty sure. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, but like our generation is like the baby generation. Like we got participation medals and like all these
Right.
different stuff. So it's like, I mean, like how much of us are adversely affected by that culture of like being given participation awards or like, yeah, I mean, like the
Yeah.
consolation prizes, diba? Like, so
Yeah.
parang a whole generation worth of people were affected by that culture of like giving, oh, basta you
Easy
tried, yeah,
prizes.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, parang how many
I
of
don't know.
us, yeah,
I don't know how much you can. I don't know. See, like, I mean, everything's an experiment. Like,
yeah, yeah,
speaking of like, case in point lang. See, Harvey Gayoso, Nacho. You know him. See, he's the guy. I had a podcast with him the other day. He's a good friend. He's a childhood friend, and he was and
he's a beast of a footballer.
Nacho knows just the level of footballer that he is. He's perhaps arguably the best footballer at his age in the country.
wow,
And um I've literally talked to goalkeepers. I've had friends who are goalkeepers and they were so proud that Harvey like scored only 2 goals on them. Or they're so happy that Harvey just scored one on them. Um it's like the guy is a different he's a different caliber with regard to Philippine football. And he told me the other day, and he made no bones about it. He was like, I feel like I was born in the wrong country. He straight up said it.
oh my, yeah, yeah,
And unfortunately, we cannot the bad luck that I was mentioning, or the unfortunate events sometimes. It's not unfortunate. It just happens, right? So, um, parang he's now forced to show all his talents. We're not able to take care of we're not giving him the
yeah,
opportunity to have a
yeah.
career in that path. Um,
Yeah.
we don't take care of our talent. I don't think us Filipinos, that's where we lack a lot. I think we don't take care of our great
I
people.
think in the Philippines especially, there's a lack of cultivation of athletic talent, but also creativity. Artists,
Arts, the
writers,
arts.
musicians. I think they're all not given enough credit, enough development, enough outlets when they're younger.
But it's there.
Yeah,
Maraming
it's
ganyan.
there. I think there's a lot of
Yeah.
talented. I mean, especially in music, like Filipino music is a pretty great field.
I love Filipino music.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just that our culture is so rich that it produces these things, like the music and the art, that we don't. I don't know how even like some artists make it, because I can't even imagine what adversity and what difficulty they went through just to make a name for themselves. It we don't. There isn't an obvious safety net that these artists and athletes and the like have. It's always a corporate. If you work corporate, you're gonna be okay.
Yeah.
um there's a path for you. We're
It's
just
tried and
not.
tested.
It's
No
it's what
risk.
we know.
Yeah, yeah,
It's simplified thinking, but it's what we know. It's unfortunate that's the only thing we have. And even in our corporate, like we don't our scientists our best scientists are like either leaving the country or
Yeah.
they're professors, unfortunately unable to practice in their labs. We don't. I'd love for us to take care of them more. I feel like they would be crucial in moving our culture forward.
Yeah.
It's
I think that's my hope for our generation. I think that's something. I mean, we talked a lot about how we admire our parents' generation and the things they've done, the work they've put in. But I don't know. For us, I hope that's something we can change. Like, I think not enough has been invested in like museums for the public, libraries for the public. So many great people in other countries were, I mean, inspired when they were young by being exposed to things like that. Even
yeah,
things like
yeah.
astronomy, science, also all these things. Like, it doesn't have to be business and management, which is what we're all like so automatic.
yeah, it's so
Yeah.
a given.
It,
No,
it yeah, it's not a bad thing, or it's not at all to say it's a negative thing, but it's become the default because it's people that people
Yeah,
are and it's yeah, it's really a matter of being of our society being more open also, because parang I know it's easy to blame the government and say na, oh, this the budget and whatever. Yeah, fine. That's a given. In any country naman, that the governments will also always fall short on pushing something forward, right? It just happens that here a lot of stuff aren't being pushed forward. But it's also the culture. I mean, it's also our mindset. I mean, the whole I don't like talking about it as much, like the whole colonial mentality thing.
yeah,
It's like we're so influenced by what the world says is good that
yeah,
we tend to neglect things that don't fit that mold here. And we have a lot of those things, diba? I mean, and the fact that we've also look at the world in this view where it's like, okay, things from abroad, things from different countries are better than our own thing. It's always been a burden that we've been carrying as a people. And I feel like our energy always goes towards that. I mean, the mere fact that we're speaking English now over Filipino, that's the basic. I mean, I'm not. I mean, that's how we were raised. The schools we went to. That's our background, and we can't escape
we
that.
just
But
and we're Catholic too.
yeah, that's just how we were raised. But I mean, stuff like that is like it's just all. It just kind of shows like how much we're lacking in terms of appreciating things that aren't like dictated to us. Like it's not. It's like people like just because like this kind of music is uso in the states
Yeah,
or whatever doesn't mean that it has to be the music that we're into here. Yeah, I mean, but
yeah,
it's just like that. I mean, you can look at. I mean, this could be a whole other discussion, but you could look at K-pop or whatever. It's like,
mm,
yes, it sounds very Western, but also not. Like it's its own thing. Yeah, I mean, it's like
yeah,
they take what's good of other cultures and make it their own, and their people appreciate it so much. It's like I haven't been to Korea, but people say that walking around Korea is like walking around a theme park where there's K-pop playing everywhere. Like you hear it in every store. It's like
I've
K-pop
been.
everything.
It's
Yeah,
very romantic.
yeah,
It's a very romantic city.
yeah.
I mean, Seoul at least,
So
and
yeah,
it's a very romantic country from what I saw.
yeah. But yeah, K-pop is an example of that. Where it's like, yeah, it's fine. Be influenced and take great things from other countries and other nationalities, but parang their appreciation of their own craft is so great.
It's
Like
good,
they put so much effort into promoting their own artists, and they're so proud
right?
of it in the international stage.
yeah,
Yeah,
Right. So it's like it's its own thing. You don't have to like it. You can listen to it if you want, or
yeah,
if you don't like it, you don't have to.
yeah,
But you can't deny that it's good quality.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
well
yeah.
made.
No
The
one can say yeah,
the
yeah.
movies are well made. It's like they
Parasite, dude.
Parasite. I
Parasite.
loved
Oh
it.
my
I
gosh.
loved it. It's
Yeah,
just so simple, such a simple
yeah,
concept, such a simple script, but to me it deserved the Oscar,
Yeah,
or at
yeah,
least one of them. Yeah.
yeah. That's
Um.
that's an example of a country that especially in. I mean, I'm not so educated with how they do business and how how
Mm-mm.
how their
But they
corporations are,
weren't
but
that
like
well off. They weren't
yeah,
that
yeah,
well off in the '60s, I believe, as
yeah,
recent as the '60s.
yeah. It's just that their growth now really shows their pride in their own creations and their own things. It just and they
At
support
least South
themselves. Yeah,
Korea. We're talking about South Korea.
yeah. South Korea, South Korea. I
Uh,
don't know what to say about North Korea, but yeah, South Korea,
we
South
don't.
Korea, yeah.
I don't know if anyone knows all that
Knows what?
much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true. We know what they tell us. No, but
um. yeah, I feel like they did invest in their culture, but it can't be without like a real backing, like a real
No, definitely. Yeah.
working productive society that backs the
It's hand
culture.
in hand. It's hand in hand.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You were saying Nacho, like there isn't like for me, there the museums that we have, parang even like I'm talking about before COVID, because obviously all establishments um are have there's a shift in almost how all establishments are seen. But when we could visit the museums, I feel like it was such a minority that would um so and I don't know, there's a lot of things, and it goes into my, you guys are well traveled guys, it goes into my parang I have this idea that for some reason there isn't, you've been to I've been to museums, great museums that house great art. I've been to places in other countries where just this beautiful structure that's been around since the 18th, for example, 1850s, or there is, I can't, and maybe if there are, you can count it on one hand. But there isn't like this structure in the Philippines that's from way back when that people put up and that we were able to maintain, and just see as a symbolic, a sign of
Yeah.
like the Filipino spirit. It's that would be an example. Like
I mean, the thing that comes to
we
mind
don't
is
have it.
Banawe Rice Terraces, but that was before we even became a nation.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
you can't really attribute that
Yeah.
to,
I mean, like,
It is
yeah,
beautiful. It is beautiful. It's
yeah.
just that it's not accessible to a tourist. If you get me, like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's just it's like you gotta go 6 hour drive on like
yeah,
this L 300 on this
Exactly.
bumpy ass road. It's just not gonna be everyone's itinerary. You
For
know,
me though, one example, which I mean kind of shows the difference nga in culture would be the statue of Rizal in
mhm,
Luneta Park.
Luneta.
That's,
That's
I
one
don't
of
know. I
them.
think that's pretty iconic.
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know. I'd
That's
compare
one of
it
them.
to, I don't know if you could compare it to the Washington Monument in the
Right.
Oh
States.
no, yeah, yeah.
It's
I think you can.
it's
That's
Yeah,
one of
probably
for
like
them.
sure.
our
Yeah,
own
yeah,
version where
Yes.
you just have this clear thing and it's just that. You just see that.
yeah.
I mean, but it says so much that I think there in the States, it's like a law that no structure can be taller than the Washington Monument or something like that
Yeah,
in
in
the whole
the
of
DC
DC.
area.
It's a
Yeah,
Yeah.
tradition. It's like they upheld this
yeah,
tradition.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
But then
Eh,
when you look at the implementation here, like the government allowed a building to be built
right, right. Torre
behind
something,
yeah,
Rizal.
right?
Yeah. So
yeah,
that's, it shows that lack nga of respect for the
yeah,
past, I guess.
yeah,
Or
And
maybe
we
it's
just
not
take it,
disrespect.
dude. We just freaking take it. Like
Yeah.
Loki,
Yeah.
like we can't do anything about it. Like if we
yeah,
really wanted to do something about it, we fight with our every, it's just with our every, and like with all our energy, we'd fight
yeah,
for
yeah,
that. It's Rizal. It's our
yeah,
national hero. Now, whether you support Rizal or not, or as our national, or you see him as our national hero, that's a different discussion. But he's our national hero on paper.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and we just freaking put a background building on
Yeah,
it.
man. And it's simple. It after a few after a few more kilometers, if you put a building up there, it won't be seen anyway. So like just diba, just move it.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
would have yeah, move it. Yeah, I mean like it just. But
Right.
like for me, even one of the best examples of something that was somewhat maintained and that we look at as like an old structure is Intramuros, which is
Ah, yes. Yes.
also related to the monument, Rizal Monument. But even that for me is also not
It's not ours,
maintained,
man.
it's also not maintained to the best.
Yeah.
It's also not maintained to the
It's not
best. Yeah,
maintained, and
yeah,
it was made in the Spanish time. So
yeah, yeah.
it's like you wish that you would have something that Leaning Tower of Pisa,
Yeah.
Eiffel Tower,
But if
Statue of Liberty. These aren't
yeah,
for anything. They're just They're just symbolic. They're like, this is the structure of this people, and we're gonna keep it and maintain it for hundreds of years to come.
yeah,
Singapore probably did that with just recently in terms of like the bigger picture history. They did it with the Merlion. It's
mm,
like a symbol lang.
yeah.
Um, I can't think of one that we could properly maintain if it's always destroyed. It's
And
always it always gets ruined through wear and tear na lang.
yeah,
We
yeah.
don't we don't care for them.
have you taken the, I mean, we can't anymore, but the Carlos Saljan tour of Intramuros? It's interesting because he talks
Never.
Never
about
done that. Yeah,
he talks
You
about
took it, Nacho.
I haven't.
Oh,
no, yeah,
Haven't
well,
had a chance.
yeah.
yeah. How was it?
Yeah, he talked a lot about like um why he actually mentioned that stuff, like why the Philippines structures also, we don't have many lasted long, is because um historically we're also a very
Yeah.
We are country.
nation, yeah,
Young
but
independence. Yeah.
yes, but a lot of the way we used to build stuff traditionally were never like Leaning Tower of Pisa, where it's like marble or whatever. We
Mm,
always made out of wood, coral,
I
whatever,
see.
and these things all rot, right? So technically, the only things that we could have preserved were stuff that happened during the Spanish time and after, because there was the stuff when they introduced concrete and other and wood. I mean, better wood ways of building with wood. But for me, what upsets me is even those things aren't kept. Like you go to Chinatown, you go to
Yes.
the Divisoria area, or whatever, old Manila, and the buildings there are so old and nice, and they're not taken care of at all. So I mean, so even the things that, parang for me, it's excusable that we don't have like a Leaning Tower of Pisa or like or
Yeah.
something that old, that the Vatican or whatever, because those countries were using
Mm-mm.
marble and stone from a long time ago when we weren't.
Yeah.
But the things that we had, like the museums that were built during the Spanish time and the American time or whatever, those things could and should have been maintained, because we as a society could have done that. But
Yeah.
even those things aren't. Yeah, I mean, so
I
yeah,
get that. My thing would be there's no reason for us to not do it now, and we still
yeah,
haven't.
yeah,
Like we
yeah,
have
exactly.
there's enough technology. The structures are probably there are ways to, because like I mentioned, you guys, I know you guys are well traveled. I'm sure you guys have been to. We were blessed enough to have gone to other countries, Western countries, and every time I was in another country in the West, there was always something that like this monument that you couldn't access because it was being maintained.
Yeah,
Like you
Yeah.
couldn't go to it because you could see like scaffolding all over it, and like it
Yeah.
was being covered with like some canvas, so that unfortunately you it's it for sightseer you can't see it, right? But like I recognize like when my family went to England, we were able to pass by the Big Ben, London, and you couldn't see the Big Ben. It was being covered because they were maintaining it, and they had no qualms about it. It's like we gotta maintain it, or else, and we don't care if you don't see it because we just have to. You know,
Yeah.
it's we want it to last forever. I wish we had that, like that structure, because to me we kind of let things like deteriorate. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
um, eh, I believe that to have a unifying or a united culture, we have to have some symbol we can look to. It's I don't know what it is. It Rizal maybe, but like it's not. It isn't compelling enough to me because it's like one person. Maybe like something that's abstracted, like it just developed through our ideas, through our thinking, through our beliefs, and
yeah.
put onto something a physical structure. That's one of the things I'd like for us to have as a nation. It just feels like it's so disjointed. Because one, speaking of languages, like we have so many different languages. It's or
All
dialects
dialects. Yeah,
or languages, however they'd like to be called.
yeah.
It's probably changing all the time. But yeah, it's. I'd love for us to move. I'd love for us to be more unified, kahit papano, because that's how we build something.
Yeah, yeah.
That's bayanihan, the concept.
Yeah.
Actually, in a weird way, like I know we all started this talking about productivity and like, I mean, we kind of, I mean, this is, I mean, and we're here now, right? But like, I feel like it's something that I feel like productivity or being productive, at least for in my experience with, a lot of it is based on sort of, not strictly, but order and sort of your attitude towards order. It's not it's not that
Right, right.
it's not a strict order. It's not necessarily like, okay, be firm with every single thing, but there's a certain level of order that's needed for you to be able to focus on things that are outside of that order. Like if my room was a
Right.
mess, if my room was a
Yeah.
mess,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd focus so much on the mess every day that I wouldn't get much work done. But when my room
Right.
is fixed, I can do all the extra things. I can do this podcast with you guys. I can whatever. I mean, like I won't have to worry about other things. And I think it's
Mm-mm.
sort of what our country has been for quite a
Yeah.
while. It's like there's everything is a bit messy. And I'm not saying one particular thing. And other countries have a lot of mess to clean up too. But like at least for speaking for how I see our country, it's like we can't expect to take care of these off tangent things like promoting our athletes or musicians or whatever, or taking care of our buildings when even the most basic things are still kind of not in order. and
Mhm.
and and so long as that's the case, it might not ever come that we'll have the mind space and budget to fix or all these other stuff. Yeah, I mean, so it's like it's sad, but that's sort of the reality that we're facing, and a lot of the world is also going to be facing now with the whole pandemic thing. It's going to be hard for the world to do the extra stuff. Like the Olympics is not happening.
Yeah.
I don't even know if it's gonna happen next year. I mean, they say if they wanted to, but like, is it next year, bro?
It's
Twenty
it's
twenty two
it's pegged for next year. Yeah.
next year, yeah. But
Yeah.
like, all these stuff are extra stuff. Like, the world now is not in order, and it's gonna be hard for the world to have space for the extra stuff. Like to have concerts, to have the Olympics, to have a new.
The
I don't
cultural
know.
stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I'm not being all pessimistic. I mean, great things will come. I mean, aside from how difficult of a time it is, great things will come out of this for sure. Like, but it'll be hard for a while for the world to do the extra, go above and beyond kind of thing, because for a long time
Right.
we're gonna be focused on the mess that this is now, culturally and systematically and
True that.
economically and everything. Yeah,
True that.
it's like, man,
It's gonna take a while to find our bearings again.
yeah, man, to be productive.
But I
Yeah,
like
Productive.
your analogy with the room, dude. That was
It
because
is.
for
It's
like
simple.
when you
Yeah.
think of productivity, it's very go, go, go. I have to get to
yeah,
the next thing. I have to do the next thing.
yeah,
I have to, I don't know, make the sale, get the
yeah,
project done and
yeah,
all of
yeah,
that. But sometimes you forget, maybe I need to take a step back and do some maintenance to make that even better. And I think that's kind of the mindset. Like the thing of
yeah, yeah,
like maintaining a room. It's a good analogy. I think me personally, like I think I could be also more orderly in my room when it comes to productivity. But it connects with, I mean, this thing of like the tourist site. Let's say like actually, so Tino said that things were covered in scaffolding. When I went to the Washington Monument, I think that was covered in scaffolding. Actually, speak of that, but it's that's part when you think about it. Like, why will it's not logical to maintain it because you're spending. That's not gonna make me any money. I'm
It's
spending to
true.
maintain something,
yeah,
but
yeah,
in the end, like you get something, I guess, that money can't buy. I don't know. It's
yeah, yeah,
It's
kind of like
beauty. It's
yeah, it's
art, diba?
beauty. Yeah. Kind of like
yeah,
cleaning your room. By
yeah.
cleaning your room, I don't know, you lose hours that you could have
Hmm.
spent working and
Yeah,
getting the job done. But
you get tired and all that stuff. Yeah,
yeah, but you gain something that I don't know, long term there's an
yeah,
effect that just you can't
yeah,
That's
yeah.
true. That's a That's a like smallest scale, diba? Like our immediate space where
Yeah.
where you where you rest. But I
Interesting
think
insight.
on the bigger. Oh, sorry.
Interesting insight.
yeah. It's cool how that kind of went around.
That's
Really
true.
insight.
uh, and I guess I'm gonna be the critic of our culture again. But man, I hate to be that, but because obviously there's so many things wrong with me, like with every one of us, and it's hard to like speak out because there's so many things to fix within yourself. But also, I think when it gets to a point where I'd love for us, or I'd really like for us to fix a lot of us to fix that thing within ourselves. It's like a common theme for me would be okay. I feel like Pinoys don't. Speaking of order, Pinoys don't like order. It's just something that we just shake off, man. Like
Yeah.
get off me. Like I don't want this order. I want to be free. Let me do whatever I want in my household, in my family. Let me make as much money as I want within my family. Screw all of you guys. Like that sounds a bit extreme, but
No, I get the
I,
point.
I it's just we don't like that nagging regulation that we hear. We take them as suggestions. It's like that's the common trope is that we Pinoys take laws as or see laws as like just merely suggestions. Um, may not be true. It might be a generalization,
Yeah.
but it's 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 something I see. I know it because I'm a Filipino. Um, it's yeah. I the room thing. I think clean your room. I don't know if it's a guy thing, but it could be that a lot of guys or men
I can
should
vouch
clean
for
their
that.
room.
Yeah. Yeah.
Should clean their room more than they do. Um,
More than they do or more than they don't.
more than they or you know, it's the lack thereof.
Yeah.
And that's what you could work on yourself. We're talking about a lot of this podcast has been a lot of what's out of our control, and I guess now I'd like to like bring it to like what's within our control.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that's
Diba?
actually one of the things I was thinking a while ago when you were sharing about what's out of your control. This I think this is a good segue to what's in your control.
Yeah.
You mentioned the thing about, I mean, the thing about Messi, the thing about athletes. Like some people are just born with things,
Yeah.
but then there are also certain, I think, attitudes that you have to cultivate. Like
Mm.
for example, like Neymar. I think Neymar is another guy, and people say this guy is he's really talented.
Oh
This
yeah.
guy is really blessed with skill, but sometimes I don't know if we're gonna put this on the record, but sometimes it's like
No,
sometimes it's like
no.
his
Baka
head
marinig ni
isn't in
Neymar, man.
it.
Yeah, he listens. He listens to the podcast.
Sometimes it's like his head isn't in it. Like he's,
Yeah.
and that's, I mean, no criticism to him. Like I
Yeah.
mean, he enjoys the being a star, the attention, the
Because he
ads.
is. He
Yeah,
just
yeah,
is.
he
Yeah.
is,
Yeah.
he is, and he has that charisma. Like he calls that attention
Oh
himself.
yeah.
That's why
And
he's
and a lot of women are
yeah,
attracted to
yeah,
the guy. Yeah.
yeah. So, but
All those things.
so he has that skill. I think he has the same. I think he has the skill closest to Messi and Ronaldo.
Mm-mm.
But if you look at the numbers that Messi and Ronaldo get, like Neymar's not at that
Yeah.
level. And there's something about their attitude that just gets them there. And Ronaldo, like you said, his work ethic is really good. And I think I mean, we've never seen two
Have you
athletes
seen
in
his abs,
football.
man? You can't get that
We've,
of his. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You gotta say it. You gotta
Yeah. No, no, you're saying. You're
We've
you
saying.
can't
Yeah.
never
ignore
seen
that.
two athletes in football who like kept up these kinds of numbers for
Mm.
this like more than a decade. Like, I mean, you
Yeah.
have people who say like Maradona was great, Pele was great, Zidane, Cruyff, but they didn't. Nobody kept it up for this many years, and
That's
the
true.
amazing thing
Yeah.
about Messi and Ronaldo discipline. But the word that I was going to go into when you were talking about Harvey and how he felt like you said he felt like he was born in the wrong country. And you were
He's right.
talking about luck and chance. It reminded me of this class I had in Ateneo. I know one of you. I don't know if it was Jigs who mentioned, "Wow, we're getting into philosophy," but this one it's actually quite philosophical. But I heard it in a science class.
Oh, interesting.
So
Yeah.
this guy was the dean who started the health sci program in Ateneo. It's called Science 10, I think.
Okay.
That's what the class was called. His favorite word is serendipity.
Yeah.
So serendipity, a lot of people relate that to chance, right? To
Or,
good
or
luck.
or the movie from the 90s.
Or the movie
No, I
from
was
the
kidding.
90s.
No, I was kidding.
Because there was a lot of chance and
Yeah.
with the elevator and
I
right.
can't. I haven't watched it.
Oh,
Oh, okay, okay. Maybe if you watch it, you'll get the
yeah, you
reference.
get the serendipity.
So, but what he would say is that serendipity, it's not purely luck. He calls it the perfect blend of luck and preparedness. So there's things in your control that you do to get ready for that moment. You don't know when that moment will come. You don't know if you'll get that moment. You sometimes don't even know what's the moment that you're preparing for. But sometimes the moment comes and you're just ready to take that step. This could be I mean, all sorts of things, like a certain, let's say you're working on a podcast, and then suddenly it's not something really related to work. It's just something you're doing personally. But sometimes like a moment could come that would mean like, oh, that was actually preparation for this. Or me,
Yeah,
like, I
yeah,
don't know, learning Spanish. I could not learn Spanish. I could not do anything about that, not prepare it. And then one day maybe I'm in Spain and there's an emergency, and having
yeah,
had learned
yeah.
Spanish
Oh, yeah, yeah,
would have made me prepared for that moment in a different way.
yeah.
So that's kind of what's in your it's a good segue to what's in your control.
That's true. No, yeah. I mean, that idea of serendipity and how it's not just purely chance. Whereas like you the chance part is the chance portion is being
It has
there
an
at the
impact.
right time
Yeah.
in the right place.
Yeah.
But if you're not ready to take that opportunity, then
When it comes.
it doesn't matter, right? Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I feel like the whole that whole idea of, I mean, this is in a very small way, but that whole idea of speaking it into existence, like if you
LeVar
wanna,
Ball.
no, because like, no, basically, yeah, no, but if let's say, I mean, it's not the whole way, but let's say if you keep doing something and keep preparing for something, and you keep telling people about it, and you keep putting it out there that you're doing this and you're trying to do this, you'll never know if it reaches the right person, and then be like, oh yeah, this guy knows blah blah. I mean, it's not it's speaking it into existence is one of the smallest parts of that, but speaking it into existence for me is like you want it so bad, and you do so and you've been doing it for so long, or you've been preparing for it for so long, that you can't help but talk about what you want to do or what you're doing. It's the same, like if you just keep talking about something and not doing it, yeah, people will hear about it, but when they actually get to you, it's like, oh, you're not ready for it. But if you keep putting the work and you prepared for it, and you keep talking, and because of how prepared you are, you keep talking about it, and because naturally you do, because your whole life revolves
Mm-mm.
around what you around that thing, like it will really lead up to like a serendipitous opportunity for you. And then it's interesting. Like, I mean, you're more in control of that than you think. I know we were
Right.
just talking about, yeah, as you mentioned, we were just talking about stuff that aren't in our control. But yeah, I think at the same time, you're also more in control of things than you think.
Yeah.
Like, you have the opportunity to be in control of these things. Yeah.
And actually, that thing of preparing, I know many times we think of it as intentional. You take a class, you learn a skill, you do something intentional, and many times it is that, and that has a
Yeah.
really big impact.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's also the unintentional thing. Sometimes you don't know you're preparing for something. So like, I don't know, just to share like personal experience.
Yeah.
When I got my like second promotion, I mean actually first promotion in decathlon. So like I was doing my other job as like sport leader for football, and then but I just have conversations with other people on the team, and like Jigs, like we're into tech stuff, right? So like we watch
Yeah. Yeah.
MKBHD, like you don't think like watching YouTube videos, that's not gonna do anything for me. But there
Yeah.
was this one day I was talking with the digital leader for the Decathlon Philippines. Like I think we were just having lunch and we were just talking. I was like, oh cool, like your phone's a One Plus. And this was like just when like One Plus wasn't big. I think this was like the One
Yeah.
Plus
One plus
3 or
60.
4.
Oh wow, even
Not this,
earlier than
it's
that.
like a 3 or a 4, like super early on. And I knew about it because I had this friend in Ateneo who got the very first One Plus. And I was like, oh, what's your phone? His One Plus. So now like all these years later, I knew about the brand and I knew what it stood for. Like it makes very like affordable
Yeah. Yeah.
phones for a really good quality, the technology in it. And so I brought that up, and that he's like, oh cool, like you know what my phone is. Like he was surprised because not a lot of people, like usually people be like, is that a Samsung or is that a, but he was like, oh, you know what my phone is. And that actually stuck with him because when they opened this position, they called it a position for a digital reference. There were like
Mm.
five who applied, and the my boss at the time, the store leader of Alabang, was like, hey, like I think you'd be a good fit for this. Why don't you apply? And it was him and the digital leader who were going through candidates for this. And everyone else was, I was one of the newer ones at the time. Like the others were more experienced than me.
Hmm.
But that stuck with him, that like I knew what his phone was. And that's one
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
things he
Buti na
mentioned.
lang.
Well,
Buti na
Yeah,
yeah,
lang
dude.
Buti na lang I've heard of OnePlus, dude. Like I, kunwaring
Let's go
marunong sa
OnePlus.
tech, bro.
yeah, yeah.
This
Like
ends up
when he
being,
told
I
me,
don't I
yeah.
won't even pretend na.
when he told me about the job, he mentioned that he was like, it like it stood out to me that he knew what my phone was. Like, so I think like you're well versed with digital things. I was like, cool. And
Yeah.
like it didn't, I didn't make such a big shift, but I think
Small,
like
small, right? It was a
eventually,
small
yeah,
thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. But now like he became my boss, and he got me to work under him in e-commerce after that digital position in
Yeah.
the store. And then now like he's leaving the company, and like he's asking me to take his place. So it's pretty
Dude,
cool. Like it's
congrats, man.
Whoa,
Congrats,
kind of
man.
where it
congrats.
opened up. Yeah,
Big,
it's
big
Yeah.
ups, bro. Big
so
ups.
random. Like it's just from watching YouTube.
Yeah. Just everybody, you have to know what
One Plus
One
is.
Plus is.
Oh, you should have
One
known
Plus
it. You
Nord
should
just
have
came
known it
out.
2 years
This is
ago.
not sponsored.
Not a
One Plus
sponsored.
Buds also.
And this is not a tech podcast.
Oh man. No, but that's super cool, man. I mean, like, that I think it's a really good example of that, where it's like, yeah, like your preparedness for that moment without you even knowing it. was more in your control than you even realized. I mean, diba? Like it's. I mean, I feel like a lot of that stuff happens where we don't even. I mean, you were able to chase it. You're lucky enough that
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 he mentioned it.
yeah that you were able to trace the sort of success
That's
back
the
to that moment.
chance.
Yeah. But a lot of people probably get that chance without realizing that it was because of
Yeah.
something that happened or that they prepared for inadvertently, even right. So it's like
Right.
yeah,
And also the choice to take that chance. Like you could know what a one plus is. You could have that chance presented to you.
yeah,
But it's also your choice
mm-hmm.
to speak up. You
Yeah.
know? That's
And
your
like
It's
that's
that
true.
on
Yeah,
you.
happens every day. Like we're
yeah,
connecting with people every day.
yeah,
Like you could stay at home and be like, I can't connect with people anyway. But kind of by doing this podcast, by meeting up, by having reunions, you open yourself to other people. You learn new things. I mean, this
yeah.
thing we were talking about, like cleaning your room. Like I didn't think that would come out of this, but it did.
True.
So
No,
that's
yeah.
Oh, you,
No, but
oh,
yeah, but
go
but the
go
whole
go.
idea of connecting to people, I mean, again, more in control than you think. I guess is like
yeah.
connecting to people is super interesting. Even in parang as we talked about earlier, like I'm not sure if this was part of the part that was recorded, but we talked about this earlier, where it's like
It was
uh
recorded when you came in, Jigs. Actually,
oh okay
from the beginning,
yeah
dude.
um it's like the whole how l- how we're still so connected now, even if it's during the pandemic, where like right now I mean, we used to see each other. For those of you who don't know, like the three of us would probably see each other at least once a week. I mean, on most weeks,
Thereabout,
just
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
just because of our service in church, right? But we haven't had that in months, so I haven't seen these guys in person in months. Well, in passing, yeah, but like not like we haven't talked in person like this, and um like the connections that we make with people are so important, and I can't imagine how life would be if we couldn't connect to them during this time. It would be so incomplete. And like an example of a very vital connection would be like because of the internet, like there's this person that contacted me that I had a project with like a potential project with in the past, maybe 2 years ago, and it didn't happen because they didn't pursue the project. And she messaged me remembering that I almost worked with them before, and she's based in Australia or whatever, and now there's an opportunity for something to materialize in Australia because of this whole connection thing, and again, something maybe I said or something maybe that she appreciated about
Or
our
how you
service, or
chose to
about
carry yourself.
yeah
Yeah.
exactly, led to 2 years after, a year and a half after, her remembering my name even. Yeah, I mean, like it's like, but again, none of this would have been possible if not for like how could like work from home is not a term that would have made sense 10 15 years ago, maybe 10 years ago,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
15 years ago, 20 years ago, no man, like
No.
it
Not
doesn't make
do
any sense. Yeah,
not
so
feasible.
I mean, how destructive would it have been if we were the in between stage between like internet and no internet? Yeah, I mean, like when
I
it wasn't at
wonder.
a point.
I
Yeah,
wonder.
yeah,
In fact, that's that's probably like a alternate reality, right? But
yeah.
I also think about an alternate reality without COVID. like it's like a
Oh yeah.
little thing that just domino effect and just affected
Gosh, yeah.
the whole world. And oh, speaking of phones, man, I was just thinking. I'm not gonna get too into it because I'm not gonna pretend like I'm a tech guy, but I guess it has to do with like the access to information like this and the fact that there's like this niche for of people reviewing stuff. It's which is a weird thing if you think about it. Like, but entertaining,
Mm-hmm,
undoubtedly.
mm-hmm.
But you and I, Jigs, we have a Huawei. It's like it's an
Yeah,
alternate.
yeah.
It's a different phone from, although popular. It's not your Samsung. Um, it's not
Apple
your
or
Apple, obviously. But I guess I'm trying to make myself look like a tech guy right now. I got a Huawei. No, but I did watch. Dang it! I keep trying to make myself look like it, but like it's interesting to know more about those things, and um, it's through MBKHD that I made the decision to get a Huawei.
yeah, yeah,
I otherwise
Wow.
wouldn't have done it.
Is it because it won the camera shootout?
yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
actually,
dude,
our phone,
dude,
yeah,
Diba?
the Mate 20 Pro,
it did.
our phone won the camera shootout, the Mate
It
20 Pro.
did. I it and
That
it
was like
kind of
right.
yeah, the phone that won.
Yeah,
right, and it makes you I don't know, like even a little proud, like, diba?
Yeah, yeah,
That, or not even proud, but like you're just happy that someone has the phone that you've just been eyeing, or like
yeah,
there's
yeah,
this,
yeah.
you have the phone that you've been eyeing, and that you've been hyped for, like people have been
Yeah,
hyping it
yeah.
up, and it makes me wonder how much tech how important tech is really gonna be in the future, and how, to my eye, we're not producing our own.
Mm,
It doesn't seem like, it seems like we're buying a lot of technology. It seems like we're trying to like get on that bandwagon of tech, and I think Pinoys are like number one cell phone country in the world.
users,
Cell phone
yeah.
users in the world,
I
right?
think
Mobile
even
phone
social
users.
media, right?
Even on social media, we
Yeah,
spend
yeah,
an enormous amount of time on social media.
yeah.
I'll speak for
As a
myself.
people, yeah.
Uh, um, but I hope, and I'm not even gonna like foist this on our people, but like it just feels like I'd love for us to have something going. Maybe have our own car brand,
Yeah,
have
yeah.
our own cell phone if it's doable, have
Well,
our own
there's my phone and
computers.
stuff, right? There's like, I mean, I'm not sure if they're made here, but they have
Oh,
like
they're
my
made in
phone and
China, right? But they're
I think
like,
so. Yeah, they're
yeah,
They
they're
branded.
marketed
customize
as
But yeah,
yeah.
Pinoy
yeah,
phones. Yeah,
yeah. I think so.
like there's a Pinoy flag basically
Yeah, yeah.
on its logo.
Yeah. No, but I mean, like to your point, like tech. I think tech. I mean, I being in the creative industry and like thinking about all of these like different. I mean, as an industrial designer specifically,
Yeah,
I was thinking a lot about like um the winners and losers during this quarantine. Um, the losers being like how we do everything basically. Like I mean, like everything's gonna change after this. Like how we design restaurants,
yeah,
how we do bank, whatever. I mean, like the mere fact that everything that we normally do on a weekly basis, we can't do the way we usually do it.
Yeah.
It's gonna. I mean, it's for a long time going to be the problem. I mean, that means that there was ironically a shortcoming design that is being exposed by this pandemic. But tech is a big winner. Tech is a for me like a big winner of this whole pandemic.
pandemic
I'm not
proof.
yeah, I'm not looking at it as a game. I'm not. I mean, of course, people are suffering, and I mean, I don't mean to make light
Gets,
of it,
gets, gets. Yeah.
but tech. I mean, if you look at all the big things that came out of that came out of this, is like video games, Zoom, Amazon. I mean, literally all the big winners
Lazada,
of like companies, Lazada, yeah, like online shopping, Facebook groups for selling and
Yeah.
buying food. Like all
yeah,
of the winners are all in the tech side. Animal Crossing, Twitch streaming, whatever. I mean, like everything is like all of the big trends and the big TikTok. It's like TikTok had a spike in the usage during this whole thing. Zoom is like one of the number one tech companies. Yeah, I mean, like in the world all of a sudden. So it's like Microsoft Teams, Google Meet. It's like tech all of a sudden bloomed into something even more impressive in this time, and that's sort of something that's to your point, like the world has to get on the train. Yeah, I mean that's something that it's been sort of fast tracked. There was this. I'm not sure if it's a Vox video or if it
Mm-mm.
was The Verge or something, but they talked about how tech plateaued, and it sort of coincided with this is a theory, or I forgot the term. Maybe you guys can look it up, but where like history kind of plateaus, and it'll take a big event to like make it go beyond that. Like the plateau will last for quite a bit, and tech being as much a part of our lives as anything today was a perfect microcosm of that plateau. Because if you look at our phones, like for the past 5 or 6 years, they look like pieces of glass. I mean, they haven't changed much in how they look for the past how many years. Um, yeah, fine, you can argue features come up, but it's pretty much been the same. Like the phone I have now looks like the phone I'm gonna get next, even if this is 2 years old. Yeah, I mean, it's just the reality. And um, with this sort of pandemic happening, that's sort of that event that was talked about in the theory, where it's like things are gonna change after this for the better or for the worse, but it's gonna be a shift that's gonna usher in a new set of sort of attributes that tech specifically will have, because tech is so much ingrained in the future of how we do things. And I mean that whole like I watched there's a video that went viral recently, and it's an old video about how Amazon plans this whole like connected city. Have you guys seen that? Where it's like they have drones, like they'll have buildings that are like their warehouses will be buildings, and then drones will take off from the windows and
Oh.
fly down to drop off stuff in people's houses, and like Alexa will be built into everything, and like
Yeah.
It's like I mean stuff like that is it sounds crazy, but that's really where it's gonna go. And I feel like this pandemic is pushing that forward even more. Where like you wouldn't want to deal with a person that can give you a virus, but you can talk to an Alexa that won't, or a Google Assistant. Yeah, I mean, and
It reminds
that's
me of
not.
a. It reminds me of that certain like detachment from a human, like a
Oh
from
yeah,
human contact. It reminds me of
yeah.
how the scrimmage NBA scrimmages
Oh
have
yeah,
started, and
yeah,
like
yeah,
there's this background,
yeah,
call it like a TV or like a just a
yeah.
screen for everyone to
Yeah,
see
for
and
those
for
of you
the
guys, for those
players.
guys who haven't seen it yet,
Yeah,
who don't
go.
know also, yeah, the NBA is restarting. A lot of sports are restarting, but the NBA is doing it in one of the one of the most interesting ways, where
Yeah.
all the teams that are remaining in contention for the playoffs are all in Disney World in hotels,
Orlando, yeah,
staying there for 3 months to finish the season, and they're playing in the same sort of arenas, a very small ESPN
yeah.
thing there, and there's no audience, there's
There's
no
no
crowd,
fans. Yeah.
yeah, no fans. So they set up the whole arena, basketball court,
Yes.
basically with like LED screens around that show the home team's graphics. And sometimes, occasionally, they also show
It's like canned laughter.
videos of they show videos of crowds cheering, which is
Except it's
So they
weird.
weird
But
that
literally
it's
set up
visual.
screens, or is it
so basically,
is
because
it AR?
They're just
because the
recordings.
it LED screen. So
Oh, okay.
the court is basically just wood, like wood finish. There's
Yeah.
no team logos,
And then the
but
benches,
yeah, the benches are
the chairs, yeah.
they're staggered. But like there's a home team and an away team in every game, right? So to make the home team feel more home, when if it's a home team, the graphics show on the LED screens around the court, and then if it's and then so whoever's the home team will have their graphics showing, and they can show whatever they want when there's a basket or whatever. But like I think particularly the Miami Heat game. I didn't see it in other games actually. Particularly the game, they had a crowd, like a video of a crowd playing every so often, which is kind of surreal. But like that, yeah, that sort of happened. Yeah, that's what.
It's cool.
It's weird. It's weird.
Yeah,
It's like it's not real. It's like it feels like some Black Mirror episode where everyone's not allowed to go out. So like you just have to make do with recorded
yeah.
pre-recorded fans who are pretending to have fun, or like what it looks like to me.
So they don't live stream the
It's
fans.
live stream.
You
Oh, no,
can't
no, 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 not I don't
you
really
can't
actually
because
fans.
people
No.
can't stay near each other.
Yeah,
uh,
The way they do it in football. So I think
Yeah.
this one is cool because it's the whole thing, right?
yeah.
In football, in the stadium, I think they just have screens where the fans are watching on something. I don't know if it's Zoom or something, but they're basically in their living
I've heard
room
about this. Yeah,
watching. And then so you can see the reactions. That one's a bit, I don't know, but the
yeah.
cool thing is from a viewer perspective, I like the highlights. Right, there seems to be like some AR stuff going on. Like they make it like FIFA
No, I was just
for
telling
NBA.
telling Nacho about
okay.
how things work. Yeah,
Why 3 months? They had that much of the season still to go,
that
or
that includes the playoffs and finals.
okay.
Yeah,
I was thinking jigs like the hiatus or like the length of it is essentially the weight that you would take or that you would have for the next season, right? We waited
yeah.
4 months, and makes me wonder how that will affect their level of play, or yeah,
I
or
mean,
affect their play.
that's definitely in question. I mean, a lot of what teams are looking at now during because right now they're having scrimmages. Not yet. They're like warm
Not the
tune-up
games
games.
yet. Yeah.
They don't really count yet. But a lot of teams are looking out for how their players react to playing again. I mean, some
Yeah, there's
players are
also
faring better than
injury
others.
risk.
Yeah,
They just
definitely,
go back
definitely.
all of a
It's a
sudden.
new season
Yeah.
basically. It
Yeah.
feels like, but they're
But
just
what's
gonna
crazy?
count the championship as the previous
What's crazy is
or
that
the current.
the season the 2020 season, which will come after this one, is gonna start a month after the finals end,
Wow.
which is weird. I mean, that's crazy.
No
That's
way.
like yeah, it's like a
You
month.
think?
I think so.
You think
I
it's
mean,
gonna?
I think
They're
it's
not gonna move
preseason.
They're not gonna move the calendar. You don't think?
No, because they not moved. Because I think it's like I think it started in November or December or something,
That's
maybe a
right.
month and a half or 2 months. Yeah, so it's like, but either way, they'll have training camp. So it's like it's gonna be like training camps like 2 months before the next season. So it's like it's straight to that. I think
Okay.
so. It's gonna be weird. I mean, again, that's what as I'm saying. Like going back to like the whole order thing. Like the world has no order right now, and all these extra things are at the mercy of whatever happens. Yeah, I mean, like
Right.
because are they gonna go back to the bubble for for 2021? Like I mean,
The entire season.
like in December, are they gonna? I mean, it's just a month away from the championship, which they will be playing in Orlando. Are they gonna go back to playing in the arenas? Are they gonna have to do this whole? Are they gonna stay in Disneyland for 5-6 months? Yeah, I mean, like,
I have a
Cool that they
like I
feeling.
call
don't
it a
know.
bubble.
Yeah, that's what they call it because they
NBA
try to
bubble,
keep
yeah.
people, to keep people inside the bubble.
And luckily, though the ones in the bubble no one has COVID among the players.
Yeah, so far, yeah.
Yeah,
And they're tested every day, which is kind of crazy, but
which is kind of necessary, man.
yeah,
How
kind of. Sorry, also,
you're
yeah,
sweating
it's
all
true.
over each other.
It's true. It's a full contact sport. I mean, a lot of sports are coming back. Like baseball had some games today, right, or the other day. Um, but
But I
like I
think
feel like
isn't there less contact there? Sorry for being a baseball nerd. Don't cancel
yeah,
me.
there's less contact. Yeah, I guess. But
Unless they start like getting into a fist
fight,
fight.
which has been happening quite a bit recently. But yeah, but I think the NBA is a very interesting implementation of that. Like I feel like they have the most entertaining version of this like comeback to sports. Like I mean, it's so
That's the
unheard
thing
of.
about the NBA. They test things out.
Yeah,
They
they try
push
they
the
try new
envelope really.
new stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's really interesting. Even the WNBA is back, but they're in a different area.
Okay.
Yeah,
I don't know.
man, but
I
that's
have a
interesting.
feeling, Jigs, that the next 2021, the 2020-2021 season is gonna be postponed
Yeah, probably because they can't do this. They can't have people in one venue for
for 82
a whole
games.
a whole
No,
season.
it's
Yeah,
just
no
not, man.
chance, man. Yeah.
People have their lives too. You're not gonna go
Yeah, dude.
crazy.
And they can't. And I don't think if they plan to start by December or January, I don't think this whole thing's gonna be done yet. I mean, I don't think the world's gonna be ready to come back to like normalcy that
Dang.
quick.
Yeah. I
I mean, people. I'm sure everyone's sick of hearing this because it's all we talk about. But I mean, outside of the podcast, even. But like, it's so strange. I mean, it's so strange that we're in this moment in history right now. It's such a
it's not
dif-
it's not
weird time,
I
difficult
don't
for so
think
many people.
I don't think it's a topic that we will we won't have anything to say about because it's just the
Yeah,
reality that we have.
it's
When we can
yeah,
yeah.
absurd.
It's absurd.
Yeah.
It's unreal. Yeah,
Okay.
I mean we've been on for essentially
An hour and a half,
2 hours. Yeah.
2 hours.
Yeah, I
Well,
think
an hour
so.
and a half recorded.
an hour and a half
Yeah.
an hour and a half
Officially.
till Jigs marked it. But yeah, we've been on for about 2 hours about, and I think that's good for this episode. Yeah. I don't want to keep you
Yeah,
guys.
yeah, for sure, for sure.
And it feels like we could run this over. We could run this back.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd be down.
Yeah. So thanks guys for this is my second like I'm very very early on, so this is my second ever recording, and I'd like to thank you guys for taking up the offer.
Of course.
I don't want this to sound cliche, but like it's I'm glad that we were able to finally get this on record. It's one thing to talk like this because we always do,
Yeah.
or we normally do. But to have this on record, it's just a gift that um that 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 you guys have like you guys have given me, and uh I hope I hope I hope I hope you guys would you know I hope you guys do I hope you guys take care. Just take care of yourselves.
Yeah, same man, same with you.
Yeah,
And
it's
everybody,
a wild
everybody
world
who's still listening up
at
until
this
this point.
point.
Yeah.
For two
Take care.
hours. Take
Yeah.
care,
I hope
guys.
you guys
Take
all
care,
stay
guys.
safe. Also, thanks for sticking around.
Yeah. Thank you,
Listen,
everyone.
yeah.
But thank you to my guests who took up the offer, and they're also my friends. So it's not like we don't know each other.
This wasn't
so.
work for us, man. This is just like this is us on a regular Friday
Right,
night,
right,
just like hanging out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like
Yeah.
tonight, Friday night. Yeah.
Yeah, it was wonderful, guys. And yeah, I think we can leave it at that.